Have you ever heard of a person who seemed to be a serious Christian, but then a series of unfortunate events happened to them, and you wondered, if that person is supposed to have an inside track with God, then why would this even happen? Hi, I'm Kirk, and I'm a scientist and a philosopher and a person who spends a lot of time thinking about the why questions in life. So if you're interested in discussions pertaining to God, science, and life, then please subscribe to my channel here where I'll be posting on a regular basis. You can also subscribe to my social media accounts and the links are below. Do you know parents who do not discipline their children? They let the child do what it wants, give it whatever it demands. They bribe it with candy to entice it to do what they request. They never train the child to share its toys or not to hit other children. Eventually, that child becomes totally self-centered, living and acting according to what it wants, with no consideration for other people. My point is this: if your parents wanted you to grow up to be a considerate, well-balanced young adult, they would have disciplined you. And as a kid, I never really enjoyed that at all. One of my earliest memories of trauma is of my mother taking me to a medical clinic as a preschooler to get vaccinated. When I saw the nurse turning toward me with a needle, I fought for my life. They had to actually call in another person to help restrain me, and to top it all off, my mother was helping them. I felt totally and utterly betrayed. It was not until a few years later that I began to grasp how the short-term pain of a vaccination could actually save me from a great deal of suffering later on. We would probably agree that children need training or discipline from their parents, and other adults too, so that they can get along with other people when they are grown. Now consider this: if you had a relationship with God, who is a being who is the origin of beauty, the origin of justice and love and flawless perfection, would it not seem reasonable to you that there might be a whole higher level of discipline and training? It might no longer be good enough just to get along with other people, if God has actually created you for a vastly greater purpose. What sort of discipline would be required to switch your perspective from being focused only on this life to being focused on the much bigger picture of this life within the context of eternity? For example, there are probably a lot of people who, when they decide to follow Jesus Christ, might still be pretty attached to material possessions, or social status, or financial success. What do you figure the discipline would look like to change their perspective to what is enormously more important? Have you observed that people who have experienced a lot of suffering are able to help others much more effectively than if they had never gone through that suffering? If this is the case, then have you considered the implications for those who follow Jesus Christ if he wishes them to serve and love other people as they would love themselves? Another question is this: could it be that those who follow God, who actually have a relationship with God, might have to suffer more, to endure more, to go through more than those who do not follow God? I have here a coin made of pure silver. And by pure, I mean it is 99.9999% pure. Although it might look pure and beautiful right now, it only got that way by being subjected to multiple rounds of intense melting heat. God uses this process as a picture for what he does for those who follow him. In one passage in the Bible, he describes it as follows: I will bring the third part through the fire, refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is my God. So what might it look like to go through something that God calls a refiner's fire? There is a revealing quote from God in the Bible where he compares childhood discipline to the kind of discipline and training that he has for those who follow him. He says, For they, referring to our parents, disciplined us for a short time as seemed best to them. But he disciplines us for our good, so that we may share his holiness. All discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful, but sorrowful. Yet to those who have been trained by it, afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. The idea here is that childhood discipline was not always very enjoyable. In a similar way, if a person accepts the gift of eternal life and purification from all moral evil from Jesus Christ, then a different kind of training and discipline may be required for the remainder of their lives, and it might not always be pleasant. With all this in mind, I'd like to leave you with a question for your contemplation. If a true follower of Jesus Christ has a genuine relationship with the one who is the origin of flawless perfection and goodness, and we are just normal human beings with all of our individual imperfections, then do you think it makes sense that the person who belongs to God might actually suffer more than the person who does not follow God, so that they will be more able to serve others, as well as to represent God in this world? Suffering is hard, but what if the eternal rewards are so much greater? St. Paul, a follower of Jesus Christ, wrote, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the anxious longing of the creation waits eagerly for the revealing of the sons of God." Now you might be thinking, why would I possibly want to follow God if it means that I might have more suffering in this life than otherwise? But here's something to consider. If there is no God, then of course you will not likely suffer any more than anyone else. But if there is a God, and we can truly have a personal relationship with the Creator of the universe, then the rewards in eternity could vastly outweigh anything we could possibly experience in this life. Of course, it's your decision as to where you put your faith, either in this life as all there is, or in seeing this life within the context of a vastly greater eternal reality. I'm just here to toss a few things out there to think about. The choice, in the end, is up to you. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, or at least found it thought-provoking. And if you did, please share it, or you can leave a comment in the section below. And also, don't forget to hit the like button